All right, parabolas. Definition you're writing down right now. A parabola is a set of all points that is the same distance from a fixed line, which is called the directrix, and a fixed point, which is called the focus. So up here in this diagram, the parabola can either open up, down, or left, right. This one's opening up. Your focus is always inside the parabola. The directrix, in this case, is outside, or it's always outside. And here, if you pick any point on the parabola, it's got to be, it doesn't really show it very well, but it's got to be the same distance. This point has to be the same distance from the point and the directrix. Okay? That is the definition of a parabola. Do we have all that down? Sure. Okay? All right, first example. Find the equation of the given parabola. All right, what I would give you up there is in red. Find the equation of the given parabola. So the blue, I added to it. So you would be given the red, parabola that opens up, the focus of 0, 3, and the directrix at y equals 3. All right, and you had to find the equation. A parabola that opens up or down will have the equation in the form of y equals ax squared. A parabola that opens left or right will have the equation in the form of x equals ay squared. Okay? Yes?
Why is it y equals 3 if it's below?
That should be negative 3. Yeah, I fixed that right here. The directrix is y equals negative 3. The focus is 0, positive 3. Okay? Alright, so where we start here, I just pick any point on the parabola. I just pick this one right here. I don't know the exact coordinate, so I just call it xy. Alright? I know it doesn't look like it, but this point has to be the same distance from the focus to the directrix. Alright? So we use the distance formula to figure out the distance from here to here and the distance from here to here. You know the distance formula is right here. So that's what I did. So I first went from here to here and did x minus 0 squared plus y minus 3 squared. Everybody see how I set that first one up? Okay. Then I found the distance from here to here. They got to be equal. Square root of x minus x squared plus y minus a negative 3 squared, so it's y plus 3 squared.
I don't get what the blue line is.
Which one? This one?
Both, kind of.
Both of them are just showing, and like I said, it doesn't look like it up here because I'm not using graph paper, but this blue distance has to equal this blue distance based on your definition of a parabola. Okay?
How did you get the equation to the right side of the equal sign?
Here,
Yeah.
the distance from here to here, x minus x squared plus y minus a negative 3 squared.
Okay.
Okay? Then from there, since you have a radical on both sides, you can just ignore the radical and pay attention to what's underneath. What's x minus 0 squared? X squared. Right? And y minus 3 squared, we had to FOIL that to get y squared minus 6y plus 9. Don't just square each term, you got to FOIL it. Same thing over here. What's x minus x?
0.
0 squared is 0. What's y plus 3 squared? Y squared plus 6y plus 9. Alright, and then just solve from there. Or simplify first. The y squares will cancel out on both sides. The 9's will cancel out on both sides. And then I brought the 6y over to this side to get x squared equals 12y. And we want to solve for the variable that's not being squared, so I divide both sides by 12. Here's your answer. Y equals 1/12 x squared. You could put x squared over 12 if you want to, but standard form puts a right in front of x, so that's why it's 1/12 x squared. Okay?
How'd you get the equation to the left side of the equal sign? Did you just do x minus? You just went across?
Where? Right here?
No,
Here?
no up. Yeah.
How did I get that? That's the distance from here to here.
Okay.
X minus 0 squared plus y minus 3 squared.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter which one's x2 and x1.
No. All right, next. All right, you need to write this down. It's pretty important when you're finding the equation. Like we just said, you have two different types of parabolas. An up-down one, which would be in this form, y equals ax squared, or left-right would be in the form of x equals ay squared. In the first one, the graph opens up if a is positive, and if that's the case, the focus would be 0, c, and the directrix would be y equals negative c.
Where did the C come from?
Where's C?
C is the coordinates of the, well, we'll explain that right here. Or it gets explained down here. If the graph opens down, if A is negative, the focus would be 0, negative C, the directrix would be y equals C. And same thing down here. X equals ay squared, graph opens right if A is positive, therefore we would have a focus of C, 0, and directrix of x equals negative c. Left if A is negative, focus of negative c, 0, directrix of x equals c. I'll give you a minute to write that down. And go ahead and write down the blue also, because that's how we're going to find what C is, if we need to find C.
I don't get what the focus is.
The focus is the point inside the parabola. The directrix is the line outside the parabola. And the focus and the directrix have to be the same distance from any point on the parabola. Okay? All right, down at the bottom, you've got the definition for C. C is the distance. C is representing the distance from the vertex to the focus. And we're going to use this formula to calculate A. A is the number in front of x squared or y squared. We know that the absolute value of A equals 1 over 4C. All right? We need to use all of these rules in the next example. Ready? Okay. Next example. I'll come back to this if I need to. Write the equation of a parabola with a focus of -5, 0 and a vertex of 0, 0. So here's the original problem. It always helps me to graph the problem. So what I did, I just drew a quick graph. I knew the vertex was at 0, 0. I knew the focus was at -5, 0, so put a point at -5, 0. And therefore, you know the graph opens to the left based on this information. Everybody see that? Okay, that's pretty easy, right? Well, we got to find the equation. If the focus is -5, 0, the directrix has to be what? X equals 5. It has to be over here. Vertical line. X equals 5. Okay, we know it's got to be in the form of x equals ay squared. I need to find a by using the formula from the previous page. Absolute value of a equals 1 over 4c. What is c in this case?
Distance from the vertex.
Distance from the vertex to the focus is how many units? 5 units. So it's 1 over 20. So a is 1 over 20. But since the graph opens to the left, what does a have to be?
Negative.
Negative. If a parabola opens left, it's negative. A is negative. If it opens down, a is negative. Okay? That's it. You're done right there. X equals negative 1 over 20 y squared is your equation. All right. Find the focus and directrix of y equals negative 1/16 x squared. So they give you the equation. You got to find the focus and directrix by again using the same formula. Absolute value of a equals 1 over 4c. What is a?
1/16.
Negative 1/16, right? What is the absolute value of a? 1/16. So once I get to this point, 1 over 16 equals 1 over 4c, I can cross multiply to solve for c. 16 times 1 is 16, 1 times 4c is 4c, divide both sides by 4, c should be 4. Okay? And once you get c, you use what you came up with 2 slides ago with the focus and directrix. The focus has to be 0, negative 4, because which way is this opening?
Down. Or
Down. It's going down because it's y equals negative, so it's going down. So the focus has to be at 0, negative 4. The directrix has to be a horizontal line at y equals positive 4. The directrix is above the parabola in this case. The focus is still inside. Always inside. Yeah.
How would you know if it would be going to the left from the equation?
If it was going to the left, it would be x equals
Okay.
negative 1/16 y squared. Okay? All right, those were the easy ones. This one's the most challenging right here.
those are easy.
Yeah. And this one, you're asked to find the vertex, the focus, and the directrix, and then graph it. All right, so this is all that was given to you right here. All of this is our work. All right, so y squared minus 4x minus 4y plus 16 equals 0. We know, or we should know, that we want to solve for x in this case, for this parabola. It's going to be an x equals parabola. Okay? Because x is by itself, and then you got a y squared. So we want to get the x to the other side of the equation. So I added 4x to get 4x equals y squared minus 4y, and I separated the plus 16. So the blue right here was not originally there. So you should have 4x equals y squared minus 4y plus 16. Okay, why would I separate that? What method do I use when I separate that constant? Yeah, think back. Completing the square. Okay, completing the square. So once I get to this point, I take, what are the steps in completing the square? Take your b value, divide it by 2, and then what? Square it.
Add them.
Alright, so I took my b value, which is negative 4, divided by 2 is what?
Negative.
Negative 2 squared is
4.
plus 4. Alright, remember, if you add something to one side, you have to do it to the other side, so you're not changing the problem up. Okay, so I added 4 here, I have to add 4 here, or since I just want to deal with one side of the equation, instead of adding 4, I make up for it by subtracting 4 on the same side. Okay? Now this part right here in parentheses factors down. This is a perfect square trinomial, so it factors down to y minus 2 squared. This becomes 12. Okay? And then all you do is get rid of the 4 by dividing everything by 4. So it becomes 1/4 y minus 2 squared plus 3 is your equation of the parabola. Questions so far about how to get the equation?
Why did you subtract the 4 from?
Here?
Yes.
Because I had to make up for adding 4 to this side, so I subtracted 4 from this side also.
Why'd you have to make up for it?
Because you would be changing the problem if you didn't. Whatever you did on one side of the equation, you had to do it to the other side of the equation.
If you added 4 to the inside, why'd you subtract?
Because then when I added four x.
What? Say that again? I think you just asked her the same question.
Why did you add the 4?
Oh, so I could make this a
but
perfect
then
square.
you subtracted.
So I could make this a perfect square trinomial.
But then you have to do the same thing.
Right, I have to add 4 to both sides of the equation.
And why is it minus 4 right there?
Because
On the
instead of adding 4 to this side, I just put a minus 4 on this side. Same thing. Okay? Now from here, this is in vertex form. Just by looking at this, you should be able to tell me the vertex is 3, 2. Make sure you get the order right here. You know the 2 goes in the y spot because of this. Here's y, so put 2 here. So this 3 has to represent the x. If it was in the other form of y equals 1/4 x minus 2 squared plus 3, it would be 2, 3. Got it? So 3, 2 is your vertex. So I plot 3, 2. And I know to open it to the right, because it's x equals positive 1/4. So open it to the right. And then use your formula of absolute value of A equals 1/4C to figure out C. We need C to find the focus and the directrix. So what is my A value? What is A in the equation? 1/4. What's the absolute value of 1/4? 1/4 equals 1/4C. Cross multiply. C must be 1. So if C is 1, your focus has to be 1 unit from the vertex. So it comes over here to 4, 2. If the vertex is at 3, 2, the focus has to be at 4, 2. And therefore the directrix is back 1 unit. So it's got to be at x equals 2. Alright? So we sort of did all of this. We did all 4 of them at the same time. Okay?